There are good ideas for toy lines and there are bad ideas for toy lines. Bad ideas eventually retire to their proper place in the trash receptacles of history, where they belong. Good ideas never give up exploring new layers of their success, reimagining, reinventing themselves as their audience hungers for more. But sometimes even good ideas can slip through the cracks, where they will patiently wait for a second or third chance at life. Perhaps today they will finally be summoned back to the world of the living. Hi, I'm Dan Larson and this is the Top 10 Toy Lines ready for reboot. We asked you to tell us what toy line had been gone for too long, who needed a makeover, which toy lines could be successful if only today's audience had a chance to experience them for the first time the way you did when it was originally released. But, you know, with better sculpting, paint apps, and accessories. This list is the result of the thousands of votes on our Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and a single vote sent in the mail. The only criteria was, in your opinion, who's ready for a reboot? Number 10 is Mattel 1985 Jace and the Wheeled Warriors, or for you toy purists, just plain Wheeled Warriors. See, the toy line was released before the concepts for the show were nailed down, hence the lack of brand consistency from toy line to cartoon. Modularity, interchangeability, customization, these are all hot gimmicks right now for toys across brands, both mainstream and indie. Jace and the Wheeled Warriors would even cross over into the car collecting scene. It's no surprise that this line made the top 10. It is surprising that we received a vote in the mail though. First time that's ever happened. It's from Grant in North Carolina. It says, "Hey Dan, love the show. I'm voting for Jace and the Wheeled Warriors because it's a really cool toy line. But more importantly, it's written by J. Michael Straczynski, who, and not many people know this, also worked on Captain Power, The Real Ghostbusters, Spiral Zone, and Jake and the Fat Man, a ready for reboot royal flush." Number 9 is LJN 1983 Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, a line of toys based on the role-playing game instead of the nationally syndicated Saturday morning cartoon. Fans voted for the line for 3 reasons. 1, D&D was and still is a fun and definitely cool game for cool people like me.
Cool people like me. Cool people like me.
2, it's a wellspring of awesome character designs from wizards to elves to knights and everything else. 3, there has never been a line of action figures featuring the main characters from the animated series, despite their popularity being so high that they are currently being used to sell cars in Brazil in 2019. LJN Toys was purchased by Acclaim in 1990 and then dissolved in 1995. The rights to D&D are currently owned by Wizards of the Coast, which is currently owned by Hasbro. So if there's any room on the shelves, maybe we can squeeze in another Hasbro line next to Star Wars, Transformers, Overwatch, Marvel Legends, Power Rangers. Number 8 is Hasbro 1986 Inhumanoids, a line of G.I. Joe-ish action figures squaring off against a series of giant-sized subterranean monsters, a cartoon that pushed the boundaries of horror in a show intended for younger viewers. Inhumanoids barely got enough exposure on its first trip around the toy aisle. Perhaps a modern revisit would inspire a more widespread love for tendrils, fangs, and exposed rib cages? But what size to make the figures? It's going to be hard to push a line of 6-inch protagonists with properly giant-scaled monsters. Lannard's Rampage and Mattel's Jurassic Park line both opted for the 4-inch scale or smaller to make sure that the giant creatures can be affordably priced. But hey, Jakks Pacific put out a Godzilla that measures 40 inches from head to tail. It's possible that fans would be willing to sacrifice posability for a focus on sheer size, because that's what Inhumanoids would really need to separate it from the rest of the pack. A simple Build-A-Figure just wouldn't be enough. Number 7 is Hasbro 1987 Battle Beasts. Put that keyboard down. There are 2 things that I already know that you do not need to tell me. 1, Battle Beasts was a subline to Takara's Transformers, originally called Beastformers, and technically lived a much longer life in Japan, evolving through different eras and game mechanics. And 2, Battle Beasts has already been rebooted previously by Diamond Select Toys in 2012. Which gives me the opportunity to explain that it doesn't matter if a line has already been rebooted, it can still be high on collectors' list for reboot because the last go-round didn't satisfy their need for more Battle Beasts. That's good news for you, license holders. Diamond Select was able to make Battle Beasts called Battle Beasts because Hasbro let the trademark lapse. However, despite Diamond Select pairing their Mini-Mates style Battle Beasts with a comic book to help introduce the mythology, fans of the original line didn't connect with the new detail, articulation, flat natural colors, lack of recognizable characters, and the abandonment of the hologram-based rock, paper, scissors game mechanism that double as clan alignment. Other than that, it was fine. This also gives me the opportunity to point out that sometimes you don't have to try too hard. Don't overthink the reboot. Take advantage of the advancements of newer action figure technology, but don't lose sight of the fact that, for the most part, fans want the exact same thing they already have, just newer. Number 6 is Kenner 1987 Silverhawks. Silverhawks inhabited the same toy space as Thundercats with respect to a team of animal-themed space warriors, cyborg birds instead of cats, intended to be more of a general space police force instead of fighting against a singular villain, even though that's pretty much what they're known for. Silverhawks was built around their 3 main toy gimmicks: bird sidekicks with unique weaponizable functions, figures with leg squeeze activated arm wing expansion, and shiny chrome. Silverhawks almost got to be a part of the 2011 Thundercats reboot when an image on a monitor briefly showed Monstar, the main villain from Silverhawks. It's possible that if Thundercats had continued past the first season, there may have been an opportunity for Silverhawks as well, which likely would have meant new Silverhawks toys. Silverhawks would be facing a similar challenge to Thundercats, who have attempted multiple reboots since 1985, with a fan base just as dedicated, but needing an even greater marketing effort to create appeal beyond that fan base, since fewer people know what a Silverhawks is. Number 5 is Tyco 1987 Dino Riders. Hard to believe that in a world immersed in dinosaur toys, with an ongoing dinosaur movie franchise, that Dino Riders hasn't attempted a comeback. All it takes is guns on dinosaurs. What's the holdup? But that's the thing with reboots. It's not just turning the toy machines back on again. It's market research, investments, design, fabrication, engineering, retail placement. You gotta get the word out. You're making comics, a cartoon. It's 2019. You're going to need a savvy social media team. How do you balance the need to sell to kids with the demands of the adult collectors? If Dino Riders isn't rebooted now, it likely will be sometime in the future. Guns and dinosaurs have been 2 of the top 10 kids' interests since Kids, Guns, and Dinosaurs existed, and that's not going away anytime soon. For what it's worth, the other 8 are bugs, farts, trucks, animals, airplanes, monsters, ice cream, and dragons. Number 4 is Hasbro 1987 Visionaries. The 80s were a big time for action figure innovations, for creativity, for introducing a lot of original ideas into pop culture, and no decade has had a more profound impact on the proliferation of holograms. Visionaries' construction was the same as a G.I. Joe figure, just bigger. They had helmets and weapons, a battle of good versus evil, but the thing that really sold them, that separated them from every other line on the shelves, was the inclusion of holograms on their armor, their power staffs, and their vehicles. Hasbro has made a few attempts to test the water with Visionaries since 1987, and I really do believe they want to reboot this one. In 2015, they announced that Visionaries were part of the shared Hasbro universe. In 2016, a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Leoric Mighty Mugs figure was released. In 2017, Leoric again was included in the SDCC Revolution box set alongside G.I. Joe, Transformers, Micronauts, M.A.S.K, Action Man, and ROM. In 2018, IDW Comics made them a focus of their Transformers vs. Visionaries series. Look, I'm not a paid action figure industry consultant. I thought I heard my phone ringing. No? I'm not a paid action figure industry consultant, but if I were, again, I would recommend to Hasbro not to try too hard on this one. Holograms, magic, helmets, mustaches. Don't make it harder than it has to be. Number 3 is Kenner 1986 Centurions. Interchangeability, customization, mustaches. It's obvious what sold toys in the 80s and what fans want to see more of in the toy aisle today. Centurions carved out a niche for a 3-member squad based around a simple air, sea, and land-themed defense force, with various weapon systems deployed via teleportation satellite, heavy on themes related to where we draw the line on the role that technology plays in our lives. Is it something we use or something we become? From a pure play standpoint, it's a simple formula: core figures to which you can attach any number of modular accessories sold at a price point that increases with the number of unique parts and/or degree of complexity. That's not new, that's not rocket science. The real value is in the brand name, and that doesn't cost Hasbro anything. Number 2 is Hasbro 1964, 1970, 1977, 1982, 2002, 2005, 2007, G.I. Joe. Look, G.I. Joe has been rebooted before, several times, and it has been successful almost every time. Super Joe in 1977 and Sigma 6 in 2005 notwithstanding. For a brand that's been around since 1964 in some form or another, it's just weird for them to currently have no presence on shelves whatsoever. Not for lack of trying, of course. 2 feature films carry a lot of weight and moved a lot of toys, but that was over 5 years ago. But that movie franchise is dead. The cartoons are dead, but fans still want G.I. Joe. Fans still needs G.I. Joe. Army guys and ninjas, over-the-top villains attempting to take over the world, science fiction themes and childlike fascination with military vehicles, and the idealism of truly good and honorable soldiers. These concepts are not unique to G.I. Joe, but they are most associated with it. And not for nothing, Hasbro, but I thought you were smart enough to recognize when you have a fish on the hook. You're releasing 5 Optimus Primes a year for the last 10 years. You could be doing that same thing with Flint, Snake Eyes, Storm Shadow, Scarlet, Zartan, and Destro. We're all flopping around out here. Don't let us off the line. Reel us in. Did I take the fishing analogy far enough or not far enough? Too far or not far enough? I booted the casual line in the script. I should have just made a note. Whenever we do these lists, whenever we ask you to vote, the results are usually pretty predictable with respect to the final vote counts. 6 through 10 are relatively interchangeable, 2 through 5 are pretty locked in, and nearly every time there is one choice that jumps out in front and stays way out in front, and that is exactly what happened this time. Number 1 is Kenner 1985 M.A.S.K. With the tagline, "Illusion is the ultimate weapon." Kenner rolled out a line of form-changing vehicles at a time when form-changing vehicles were all the rage. Like Star Wars and G.I. Joe before them, the scale of the line was dictated by the desire to have a bunch of vehicles. The figures were basically accessories for the gimmick-saturated cars and trucks and motorcycles and helicopters and gas stations. But the figures were still cool with tiny, chokeable helmets, characters that were brought to life through the animated series, comic books, and mini-comics, characters held in place in some cases by tiny seatbelts, one of the first and only toy lines to make safety just as exciting as fighting crime and saving the world. Hasbro acquired Kenner in 1991 and dissolved it in 2000. Everything that was Kenner is now Hasbro, including M.A.S.K. Like visionaries before it, Hasbro has attempted to test the M.A.S.K waters. First in 2008 with Specialist Tracker as part of the 25th anniversary reboot of G.I. Joe, and in 2011 as part of the Hasbro Shared Universe comic called Unit E. In 2016, M.A.S.K played a prominent role in the IDW comic series Revolution, then in their own series for 10 issues, then again in 2017 as part of the previously mentioned SDCC exclusive Revolution box set. And as late as 2018, a M.A.S.K movie was being talked about as currently in whatever stage comes right before development. In fact, I pulled a quote here about how they're envisioning it. According to Deadline.com, they're looking for a writer to put together a, quote, "contemporary subculture movie with a youth empowerment angle," end quote. I mean, I wish it said, "a movie about transforming flying cars with seatbelts and helmets that shoot laser beams." Maybe I missed something. Maybe I have to go back and watch the cartoons again. But, I mean, it could still be good with the youth empowerment stuff. I don't know. Those are the top 10 toy lines ready for reboot. Between the previously Kenner stuff and the always Hasbro stuff, most of the list was Hasbro. That saves me a bunch of emails. Thank you for that. I have a lot of other stuff to do today and don't need to get all tied up sending out all kinds of emails trying to get these things back into production. Yeah, thanks for watching. Please hit like, hit subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Thank you very much to those of you who are. I left out that sentence. If you're in the position to help the channel grow, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/toygalaxy. Hey, share this video if you're not doing anything else. Make sure you check out all the videos we've already produced for every single toy line mentioned in this video. And let us know in the comments down below on a scale of 1 to 10, how flexible are you with your reboots? 1 is an exact copy of the thing that was already released. 10 is a contemporary subculture movie with a youth empowerment angle. God.